why is building the OS, because that's what you're doing, right? You're building an operating system better than having your own brand.
We are a federation of entrepreneurs. Here is your equity
Yeah.
in the business we do together.
Right.
And that brings in immense scalability. Very humbly look upon the retailer to engage with the customer, loyalty programs, assortment, visual merchandise, in-store experience.
Manage your brand, basically.
Kindly leave the back end to me.
Sanjay, I have to ask you, given your experience, given the work that you do, what do you think is one truth you've learned about the Indian consumer that probably no B school teaches?
Today's youth, 18-year plus, wants all the independence of a youth. Unlike a Western world, they're not moving out. They're still staying close to where the family is.
I want to build something in retail. What do you think his priority list should be in top 3?
78% of our viewers aren't subscribed. Help us out, folks, and hit that subscribe button and help us bring you more incredible guests.
Folks, welcome to Paisa. I'm your host Anupam Gupta, and on today's episode, as part of our sub-series, we've got an absolutely fascinating company, PDS Limited. Yes, even you're wondering about that. I was wondering about that too, but we've got someone who will explain exactly what it is. Sanjay Jain, Group CEO of PDS Limited. Sanjay, welcome to Paisa. Thank you so much for doing this for our audience.
Thank you so much, Anupam, for having me over.
Thank you. And we were just, discussing the kind of jobs and prior experience you bring to this. I think that would probably go into an episode of its own. But let's start with the topic on hand. PDS Limited. When I looked up the company and your website, and then I realized that this is actually a listed company. Folks, it's a listed company, so you can go to, NSE or BSE websites and download the annual report, check out the website and the financials. Absolutely fascinating. Let's start from the starting. Like, what was the origins of this company? Its history, its journey. And I think before all of that, for our audience, what exactly is PDS? From what I could understand, you explain it. So you only explain it. Yeah.
Okay. So let me first define what PDS, then we will get into the history of PDS. So we are a global fashion infra company with global reach, 90 plus offices in 22 countries, catering to retailers, catering their fashion, apparel, and general merchandise requirements in an asset-light manner, plug and play, and highly scalable. So basically, if I take few examples, Primark, Tesco, Next as retail customers, I would sell, say, apparel to them. I have designers, 250 plus, who will take designs to the customers, get the designs approved. I have 600 partner factories across the globe, and I'll take the responsibility of they getting manufactured. Then I will manage the supply chain for the customers, bring the goods to them. So this is my business, and our customer base is diverse across UK, Europe, and US. And our sourcing base is again diverse across Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, China, Turkey. My banking is done out of Hong Kong and Dubai. So wherever as an organization we felt there is a strength that one can include into putting PDS together is who we are.
Yeah, I'm just trying to fit this. So it sounds a lot like SaaS, software as a service. It sounds a lot like delivery, which is, a platform. It's everything except the brand. It's like saying that if I am a major retailer, and you give the name of a few, like a Tesco, or even someone here in India, I don't know, like a West Side, you guys can take care of everything for me. I have to come to you only with my capital and my plans, and you will take it from there. I mean, what is the range of your services?
Firstly, allow me to take you, say, 25, 30 years back.
Please.
We all witnessed the emergence of the IT sector.
Yeah.
We all have witnessed beautiful companies like Infosys, Wipro, IBM's shaping up, growing into multi-billion-dollar organization. What happened? The IT was very core to any organization's functioning. As they saw emergence of such credible counterparties, they started letting go what was sitting in-house. And they felt that these third parties can take care and let me as an organization focus on what is core to me. So somewhere I would now, kind of very humbly relate to PDS model.
Okay.
That if there is a retailer, I would, very humbly look upon the retailer to engage with the customer, loyalty programs, assortment, visual merchandise, in-store experience.
Manage your brand, basically.
Kindly leave the back end to me.
Okay.
So that's how we are, and therefore, when we do this, now to your question on my nature of services, first and foremost, my business is design-led sourcing.
Okay.
I will design it for you, and then I will source it for you and take the responsibility of it getting delivered. That's my main business. Secondly, not too many customers who have excellent loyalty programs. Through that, they are able to, using the analysis, analytics, come to some logical conclusion that I can actually offer private labels, customized ones.
Sure.
So we say, okay, give it to us. We
Okay.
will manufacture it for you. We have that agility and flexibility to do it for you. Third, many retailers now, they know that while the consumption is happening in the home markets, but the production and sourcing is happening in the eastern part of the world.
Yeah.
To manage that, then they open up an office in Hong Kong or somewhere. Over a period of time, when the retailers have been coming under pressure, COVID or thereafter, costs need to be shaved off. And that's where we say, leave those offices to us. And that's where, incidentally, use the word SaaS. I have a product offering called sourcing as a service.
Oh. Okay.
That I will manage the local office with full transparency. You work directly with the factories. Let me manage the traffic. And interestingly, Anupam, the fourth service that we have, there's an emerging trend that a lot of private equity firms are increasingly owning brands like Diesel, Forever 21, and so on. It's like, in fact, there is a company called Authentic Brands Group, ABG. The brands that they own generate retail sales of $30 billion plus. $30 billion plus.
Yeah.
Now, acquiring the IPR is one thing. Appointing a franchisee to run the stores is another thing. But somebody got to manage the back end of the brand. And that's where we offered a service called brand management.
Wow.
So we have been evolving with the customers' requirements evolving as well over a period of time.
Talk to us about the evolution.
Yes.
Where all this started. I think from what I read on your website, it goes back to 1998. The listing happened in 2014. And if I have my numbers right, I think your revenues are up some 4 times in the last 10 years. Profits are up some 10 times. Just walk us through this entire evolution that's happened.
So the company was founded by a gentleman, Mr. Deepak. In fact, it's Dr. Deepak Kumar Seth. He is mid-70s, and he did his MBA from the city of Mumbai, from Jamnalal Bajaj.
Oh, nice.
And the gentleman had the foresight that India could export garments, and therefore he started doing that. And he realized it's a B2B business. So therefore, managing relationships, making sure the quality, specs, cost, all aspects are met. He also had a foresight that it need to go beyond India as well. So therefore, he started focusing on the neighboring countries. And as a result, one by one, factories were set up in parts of the world where cost, quality, labor, all these aspects are met. And at the same time, he was focused on customers, some of the names that I mentioned, plus the customers in US, where he felt there could be scale in terms of orders, and then he could bring that scale to factories, derive efficiencies. It was to begin with an exporting model, then it became a global model.
Yeah, I mean, at the core, it's exporting garments. That's it.
At the core is simple exporting of garments.
Go on, please.
But then the two sons joined, Palak, who's the elder one, and Pulkit Seth. And I think they both of them were well qualified. And like Palak is from Northwestern, he's a Northwestern graduate. He believed in the business, but he felt that he would like to do it differently.
Sure.
He realized that, yes, it has been a tremendously well-run business that has been built. But for the scalability, one has to keep putting in capital. He wanted to do it in an asset-light manner. And that's somewhere within the erstwhile company that Dr. Deepak Seth created. The son created a vertical wherein, he started partnering with individuals whom he felt were kind of entrepreneurs who brought in some unique characteristics on the table, whether it is customer relationship or a product expertise. He brought factories on board as well, whom he felt that he could make them up to the standards that customer expect.
Sure.
So therefore, I will have a partner who will get order, and I have a partner factory. He felt all of this would require fueling through working capital. He made a relationship in Hong Kong and Dubai for working capital. So all of this was put together, and it scaled up tremendously. While the original way in which the company was formed was focused on largely North America. This experiment, if I can use that word, was most focused more on UK and Europe.
Europe. Okay.
It got scaled up to a size that somewhere, closer to 2014, there was a vertical split done.
Demerger,
While
yeah.
there was a IPO, hence a listing was around 2007 or 8.
Yep.
2014, a vertical demerger happened.
Oh, okay.
The way the original business was created kind of stayed back and is today known as Pearl Global Industries
Yeah,
Limited.
yeah.
The asset light piece called demerged out and is PDS Limited. And now both are independently run by the two sons.
Yeah.
And our chairman is a non-executive chairman, is the guiding force behind both the companies.
Very interesting, because I think when I saw the market cap, Pearl Global is about, I think, 4,500 crores, and I think PDS is at about 6.5. So it's a pretty large business that has been created. So if I were to ask you, what are your major revenue drivers? Where do you derive your revenues from? What would that be? Would it be like a set, like if I look at an IT company, they have top 5 clients, top 10 clients. Would that be something like that similar for you? Because you said it's an asset light model. So obviously you don't have factories, you don't have number of units as such. So how does the revenue pie work?
So the top 10 customers are almost 70% of my top line. So therefore, on an average, one single customer is about 7%. Now, my single largest customer gives me an annual revenue of $250 million.
Okay.
And if I do a desktop estimation of the size of my customer and then the potential size of what they are buying, I'm close to 5-6% of their global apparel procurement.
Wow.
So therefore, I got a sizable business, 250.
And they're de-risked.
And I also see an immense potential to grow up. But then I am here only counting the apparel. Over years, we build a strong relationship. Then we bring various product offerings, incidental or kind of accretive to what I'm offering. Then aim at a larger share of wallet of the customer as well.
Okay.
So to answer very specifically your question, yes, we are adding North America as a geography to catapult the growth.
Okay.
But within the existing geography where we are strong like UK and Europe, I would focus more on larger share of wallet. Yes, new customers are important, but we are well entrenched with the top customers that we would aspire to work with.
Yeah. And revenues are what, 1,000 crores for the latest calendar year end?
So for PDS on the whole,
PDS only.
in terms of consolidated,
Yeah.
it's close to about 15,000 crores.
15,000 crores. Okay, sorry. I think I missed a zero out there. So if I've got this correctly, it's like if I come to you saying that I'm someone who has, a store at a certain location and I want to develop that, I already have a clothesline. You would be the right person to help me to expand that, build that properly, get the back end in place so that I can focus only on the brand and building that brand. And this is across all garments, or is it, specific to anything?
So our focus is primarily on the value segment. In fact, we are less on fashion,
Okay.
but more on retailers wherein there is, the value piece is far more important. For example, I mentioned the names that I mentioned, Primark, for example, in UK and Walmart in US, they deliver value to the customer for the price. So that's our prime focus. It gives me a lot of immense scale. And it also, my asset light model wherein managing risks are very, very important. The more you go up the fashion chain, there is an element of risk that, of course, the reward also goes up because you may land up getting better revenue, better realizations. But then we believe, let's stay core to my value and retail offering. On your first point, see, these are all well-established chains. Some of that I mentioned. So when I have a fleet of 250 designers who are with close proximity to where the consumption is happening, aided by latest technology and digital interface usage, are kind of extrapolating the emerging trends. And that is what I take to the customer. And that's where I try and assist them in managing the visual merchandise and managing what is going to get inside the store on the shelf.
Very interesting. Are there any similar companies in India that do this? I'm trying to think. I can't think. Maybe you can help me out
So
here.
to a part extent, yes. like whatever top line we do,
Yeah.
about 7% of that is my own manufacturing.
Okay.
So we have 2 units in Bangladesh, one recent acquisition we did in Tirupur, and there's a small one in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So yes, to that extent, there are many companies who are manufacturing and exporting.
Sure.
But somebody like us, the way we have built a model, I don't think there are any companies
That's
in
what I
India.
thought.
Yeah.
What about India as a market for you? Do you service anybody there? Because when you say that you're at the value end, I just thought that India is probably a very large market for this. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think India is, if one could put a guess there, it's 90 to 100 billion dollar annual consumption market, and probably the fastest growing 12% plus. And we've been from my factories in Bangladesh. We've been trying to cater to some Indian retailers.
Okay.
And so there is a beginning that we have made. And Arvind is a customer. Zudio is one of the customers in our factories as well.
Right.
And Reliance Retail for one of my factories in Bangladesh has been a customer as well. I think we are present here. We're keeping an eye. We're slowly starting to work with these customers. Some of the names that I mentioned. Myntra is a customer as well for us.
Sure.
And as I said, our focus is primarily value.
Yeah.
That wherein the volumes come along with it.
Yeah.
That is where I'm able to pass on the efficiency and the price to the customer. So we are going to, we believe, participate together with the journey of the Indian market to higher volumes, and therefore play more and more meaningful role.
I'm assuming that your revenue pie would be what, 90% exports and 10% domestic, or much more than that?
So it's more than 95%.
95 and 5.
Is actually, and then allow me to add, Anupam, I would say we are a global company than actually just an exporting company. What we buy and sell from India is about 2-3%, and we source from various geographies that I mentioned to you.
Right.
And India is right now small, but
Sure.
India is very, very promising. If I have to say 10-15 years down the line, India is extremely promising for us.
Yeah. I have to ask this, because you've got this plug and play model. If you can just explain to us in simple language that why is building the OS, because that's what you're doing, right? You're building an operating system, better than having your own brand. Maybe that will come later sometime, right? So how is that more lucrative than building a brand yourself and owning everything?
So we are a B2B company, and for all foreseeable future, we will continue to be a B2B company.
Okay.
I think we believe we are better placed in serving the brands rather than doing our own brands. And brands are interesting.
Sure.
They go through their own journey of evolution.
Right.
But we are sticking to what our core is. And plug and play model that you touched upon, in fact, a phrase that we all are very familiar with is called Shark Tank, wherein you have budding entrepreneurs who come and pitch for some interesting
Absolutely.
item of consumption or the manner of consumption. So PDS is always on a lookout for such entrepreneurs, wherein we believe, the business that I do, I'm pretty clear about it. But I believe if there's an entrepreneur who is bringing in a new category expertise or a new manner of consumption, then I would say, please come on board. I have this entire infra to support you, plug and play. And we are a federation of entrepreneurs. Here is your equity in the business we do together.
Right.
And that brings in immense scalability to the business.
I mean, it's very interesting, right? Because up until the startup boom happened in India, the only way to sell clothes would be in stores, either in a mall or a standalone in a high street, etc., etc. And then you had the aggregator model, which is Myntra and so many others who have now come up who are just, a platform doing a great job at it, aggregating customers and aggregating brands on the other side. You've invested in startups. I mean, you mentioned that you're on the lookout. Have you found anything interesting?
So with twin motives. One that you just mentioned, startup investing means there would be an aspiration of a financial return. But a larger motivation, we believe, to our business. Apparel, let me admit, is one of the sectors wherein there is, one has to be watching out for the impact on the ecosystem and the environment. So therefore, we are always on the lookout for any new process, any new technology, which can minimize the impact of the natural resources consumption or the impact of the entire apparel manufacturing process on the ecosystem.
Okay.
So, we therefore, come forward and put in that seed capital or the growth capital to that idea.
Right.
And while there is this 2% of the net profit as a CSR initiative that many organizations do,
Yeah.
we go beyond that.
Sure.
We say a part of my balance sheet capital employed,
Okay.
I would actually put into this activity. So we call it PDS Ventures.
PDS Ventures.
And
Okay. Yeah.
close to $30 million over a period of time, we have invested into such processes, technologies, and all of them are run by budding entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And we're trying to help scale it up.
Last question before we go into the break, Sanjay. Just explain the cost drivers, because you are a profitable dividend-paying company, have been so for quite a while. You've been listed, as I just said, for more than 11 years. So this is a profitable business. What are the kind of margins that you make at the operating level? Just to give our viewers out there an idea of how margins and profits work in your business.
In fact, in response to one of the previous questions, I said that we tend to take lesser risk because the margins in my business are not skyrocketing.
Yeah.
I don't do brands.
Yeah.
I'm a B2B company and that too a listed company. So therefore, my customer always sees what kind of margins I'm making. But to answer your point, the first level of margin for me is the gross margin
Okay.
in terms of what I'm buying and selling to the customer. So I make 16-18% kind of gross margins.
Sure.
Then my costs are employee costs. I have people all across the 90 plus offices that I just mentioned. And then the admin and other freights and other costs are making it happen.
Yeah.
So from a 16-18% gross margin in a steady state, my EBITDA operating margin is about 4 to 5% or
Okay.
so.
Okay.
And then if I reduce the interest charge and part of depreciation, so my PAT margin in a normalized state tend to be 3%.
Okay.
When I say normalized means that in my business, when I invest into new initiatives, they're largely through P&L. So today I'm making close to 2% PAT margin.
PAT margins. Okay.
But here, Anupam, the balance sheet is important as well, because when we keep it light, for that low margin,
you can make
the return on capital employed that
looks
one
optically
generates,
higher,
is pretty decent in terms of value creation for stakeholders.
What would be a competitive edge? Like if someone's listening to this and says, "Hey, might be a business that I want to enter into," they would be quite formidable, right? Because you've got like a presence across 22 countries. You've built up your relations over 20 years at least. What do you think are your competitive edges?
In fact, we want to encourage people to come forward and,
okay.
it says ours is a plug and play, so come and join. And we really want
It reminds me of the IT industry, right? If you remember the late 90s, it was what was called body shopping. From then it became Y2K, then it became ERP, but the real large companies that stay till today just went on adding volume and scale and reputation, and they just the large became larger. And I think at least 70 to 80% of all the firms that were into quote unquote body shopping just vanished, got acquired or something.
I think one important aspect that we didn't talk about is responsibility and reputation. I'm in business because I'm trying to take responsibility from the retailers of their back end. I got to demonstrate a lot of responsibility. They are letting go that activity of managing the operations of the factory running in the far east part of the world, the labor compliances, the safety standards, and what is getting consumed, how is it getting consumed. I talked about 250 designers. I have 150 plus compliance professionals across the world as well. So if I talk about 600 factories, I have one professional trying to assist this 600 factories. So that's one unique strength. And this is not just about employing people. I have a Deloitte code of conduct, wherein all these diverse people embrace to a code of conduct. I have a Navex platform wherein every email of mine, there is a URL over there, so that anybody working in the company feels there is some practice that requires improvement, can escalate. So these process systems, this assurance and comfort that I bring to the retailer, And lastly, you also asked about, as I said, people are encouraged to participate. It's a blue chip customer. They command a credit. It's a wafer thin margin. There are no assets to offer as a collateral for borrowing limits. So therefore, we have very carefully curated $550 million of trade lines with banks in Hong Kong and Dubai, wherein I give on one hand credit to the customer, at the same time I facilitate working capital for the supplier as well. So that's something, a unique strength that we have built over a period of time.
I mean, that's pretty good working capital management for one thing. I was just wondering if there's someone who's listening in here who has his or her own apparel brand. I'm not talking about retailer now, because you would have seen that in the last 5-10 years, D2C has become quite big. Within D2C, there are a lot of very, very young apparel brands, T-shirts, and I don't know whatnot. You think that they could be a client sometime if they want to scale up? You think that that's something that you would be looking at?
See, some of my venture activities that I mentioned,
Yeah.
they could actually be participant to
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
And I mentioned about managing brands, private labels. So if you believe some of these brand initiatives fit very well to what my retail customer is looking at, we are very happy to facilitate that.
Yeah, I think the ex-founder of Myntra opened a similar venture in India of owning multiple brands. I've forgotten his name. I can't remember that, but it sounded quite similar to what you were saying about a company overseas that has these apparel brands. Folks, on that note, we're going to take a small break. When we come back on the other side, we'll be talking about much more based on Sanjay's own experience and what PDS does. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Did you know Indians report nearly 800 cases of online financial fraud every day, which has resulted in losses exceeding 1,000 crores in the last 5 years? To keep you safe from such fraud, I am starting my newest podcast series, Conversation with Vigilante, an initiative by HDFC Bank. In every episode, I will feature special guests who can share expert insights on the different types of fraud, their modus operandi, and how you can protect your money. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and don't forget to tune into Conversation with Vigilante. Catch the episodes on all audio streaming platforms and V for Vigilante YouTube channel.
And welcome back. Sanjay, I have to ask you, given your experience, given the work that you do, what do you think is one truth you've learned about the Indian consumer that probably no B school teaches? What would that be like?
From a classical B school angle, one would say India's GDP per capita is going to grow up. One would say US, Japan is about $50,000-$60,000. India is about 2,000, 2,500, and so on. So this is going to grow the fastest growing economy. So let's go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish it was as simple as that. The Indian consumer has very peculiar characteristics.
Okay.
On one hand, this consumer is global. It's fully socially integrated to digital media and so on. At the same time, it's pretty local.
Yeah.
The family values are still intact as well. Today's youth, 18 year plus, wants all the independence of a youth. Unlike a Western world, they're not moving out. They're still staying close to where the family is. So you got to keep that, balancing here. Another interesting aspect is that every 800,000 kilometers in India, you have a different dialect and different cuisine, different culture. So therefore, even if you've studied the first aspect, can you have a pan-India strategy of a rollout? No, you got to again carefully curate it as well. So I think these one or two, if I have to pick two, are extremely, extremely peculiar characteristics of today's youth.
And from an ESG, from an environment, from a pollution angle, fashion industry generates quite a bit of waste. Is there a way that is being fixed?
Yeah. So yes, that's correct. That in this apparel business, we got to be careful about minimizing the impact.
Yeah.
And as a responsible company, we are doing that bit. We have this portfolio called PDS Ventures,
Okay.
through which we encourage the new age process and technologies to come forward, and we want to support them. We want to enable them scale.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to give some examples within PDS Venture and beyond that as well. For example, beyond that, I have my factory called Progress Apparels in Bangladesh.
Okay.
This is a factory in Adamzi export zone, and we were sending our garments out for washing. So when the garments are moving out, they're moving in, there is consumption of natural resources. And when they are going to a destination for getting washed, there is consumption of natural resource there as well. So we decided to set up a wash plant inside our premises.
Okay.
And we took a motive, let's go for good fashion funding. GFF is run out of Netherlands. It's kind of funded by leading retailers.
Nice.
They would only fund a project wherein for the given activity they are performing, there should be at least 50% reduction in the natural resource consumption.
Wow.
So therefore, we became in Bangladesh the first recipient of GFF funding. So that
Oh.
was one initiative by ours, that wash is an essential activity of the government.
Got it.
Can we
yeah.
do it at lesser water? And one more interesting thing, part of our venture activity, the gentleman called Jack, in Poland,
Okay.
he felt that okay, the garments end of season sale has happened, so they may actually eventually find them into a landfill.
Hmm.
He said, can I just come in here and still take them to a market where there still be a consumption at a price point?
Oh.
So I'm actually preventing them from getting into a landfill by another 6 to 9 months. And we funded a business called Yellow Octopus,
Okay.
which takes it from the retailers and then, and Anupam, very briefly, so therefore, okay, Yellow Octopus activity has happened. Now they are getting into a landfill. Now there is a gentleman called Barry in Nottingham in UK. He feels, give it to me. I will crush it because they are getting into a landfill.
Yeah.
I have some patent chemicals. I will mix them into it.
Oh.
And I will make anti-combustible
Yeah.
bricks or artifacts out of it.
Reuse basically.
So reuse. So
Yeah.
therefore, these are some examples
Sure,
through
sure.
which we are constantly endeavoring to minimize the impact.
Wow. What's the experience like working with such different brands, different philosophies, different countries? What's that experience been like? How do you as a leader, as a group CEO, manage this entire thing?
There are phrase called EQs and IQs.
Yeah.
So if I have to put it, I really don't need to be a person with high IQ. There are so many entrepreneurs working in the system with wonderful IQs. The EQ becomes very, very important. The ability to understand, so many people working across. I guess you got to educate yourself to the nuances of the culture. And, once you have educated, start respecting it. And as you understand how the other person is approaching it, it becomes easy. And therefore, when I'm selling to a UK and a EU customer,
Okay.
it's more engagement and relationship driven.
Sure.
While the minimum, aspects of doing business are very important, the relationship, engagement driven. When it comes to US, it's more SOP driven.
Right.
Therefore there are these peculiar aspects of every country, and a constant education, respecting the individual characteristics is the way to go.
Any challenges that have come up in the last 10 years, other than COVID, of course, which was a big thing on everybody else, but any other disruptions that you faced that you've come out of winning, any other challenges, whether it has to do with HR, whether it has to do with any country specific event, anything of that sort that comes to your mind?
Challenges, for example, it's a B2B business.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
therefore the entrepreneur founder is very important. And for example, in one of my Turkish subsidiary, the entrepreneur founder, she passed away. And with an entrepreneur who passes away, there are a lot of relationships.
Yeah.
She's built it. So therefore, alongside, to carefully nurture a number two,
Okay.
wherein he or she also brings the characteristics of an entrepreneur. That I think becomes very, very important. And Rana Plaza is an episode that happened in Bangladesh, which kind of shook the entire industry when that fire episode happened. And at that moment of time, to be able to demonstrate that we always proactively went into managing our factories. So we've withstood the COVID challenge. We have withstood the challenge of an individual moving on. We withstood the challenge of this factory episode that I mentioned that happened in Bangladesh as well.
What about US tariffs? The question that a lot of people have been pondering and wondering over the last few months. Does it affect you at all? Second, if yes, then how?
In fact, in such a situation, the unique characteristics of PDS model becomes even far more appealing. Firstly, at present, 15% of what we sell goes to US. So 85% I'm insulated.
Okay.
15% does impact. And within 15%, half of what I sell is FOB.
Okay.
So again, the impact is...
For our audience, FOB is freight on... could you just explain
FOB
what
is like, I am delivering it my doorstep, and then there's a freight forwarder appointed by the customer who will take it ahead. So therefore, duty is somewhere...
is their problem,
Their
basically.
problem.
Yeah.
But having said that, I won't say it's their problem. In a given order book, I might be insulated, but then I have to discuss with the customer. So therefore, mathematically, only 15% impact.
Okay.
But why I say the PDS model becomes unique, I have factory partnerships in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, in China, in Turkey, and India as well.
Yeah.
So therefore, my ability to serve the customer, we've now been expanding into Egypt, into Latin America as well. So therefore, I am able to minimize the impact. And while this happens in the transition,
Sure.
PDS always believes in long-term partnerships. So therefore, while I said 15% and only half was beyond FOB, we sat down with the customers, and that moment of time, the supplies were going from Bangladesh.
Okay.
There was a 10% impact. So customer said, I'll bear 5%. The remaining 5%, half of that we said, okay, we will take with us. Half of that we went to our partners, suppliers, etc. So I guess we've been partnering, but Anupam, all of us are waking to new reality every
Every
morning
day,
on
yeah,
tariffs.
yeah.
So we got to keep the basics under control.
What makes a piece of clothing important? Is it, I don't know, is it the brand? Is it the design? Is it the way it appeals to you? Or is it something else entirely? Like, what makes that piece of clothing sell and make it so important to me as a customer or you as a customer?
One word called value.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. And what's the definition of value? If there is a highly aspirational, high income group customer, the value is that it should really be a brand, that I am able to flaunt somewhere, so that's the value, and therefore the ease of buying that, the uniqueness of what I'm buying. When it comes to, kind of mid segment, that's where we cater to. The value means that it should be smart, fashionable, but an affordable price. So that's value for us, and we've chosen to be in that segment. Today's young millennial customer, the ease of buying, is very, very important. The ability, they don't want to probably visit a physical store, or they may want to, but may not have time. The ability to kind of do it on a phone, see various options, and then make a selection for them. So therefore, if I am a retailer, I am focused on a customer segment. I got to define what is value for my target customer segment, and then see that my entire business model is oriented with respect to that.
Yeah. What do you think is the future here for garment buying? I mean, for buying clothes. I know that online has come. We had a long, almost an hour conversation with BS Nagesh of Shopper Stop, and he's a veteran in retail, and he said, something to the effect that it's going to be Omni-Channel or whatever it is. Sitting here in India, you can see that people still go to high streets. We're sitting here on Hill Road. Hill Road in the evenings, you can see there's this huge line of people buying clothes. Linking Road, you've got malls, you've got the Zaras of the world also, which are always crowded on the weekend. And then you've got online, which is also taking off. How do you see this going 5, 10, 15 years forward?
I see a converged model. The physical brick and mortar stores are here to stay as well. But would that be going to be the only way of buying? The answer is big no. I think today the fastest growing segment is the e-commerce, now the quick commerce. And somewhere estimations are around at 25-30% of the total consumption is now happening through new age channels. I see them stabilizing around 50-50. It may take another 5 to 8 years to get there.
50-50,
50-50.
Yeah.
But both are here to stay. The touch and feel is extremely important, especially for a country like India, wherein the most preferred kind of way out over the weekend is actually get into a mall and shop and eat around that as well. So that's an important part of the consideration. So whether it is 5-8 years or 10 years, but somewhere they would converge and tend to coexist.
Yeah, and especially with the value segment, right? When you mentioned Zudio, Zudio is a great story of how the Tata Group got this entire new segment. Maybe not new. There have been other business groups that have tried to target this segment with varying amounts of success. The value segment will still remain in-store touch and feel, you think, or even there might be a room for them to become completely online? Because when I look at the Mintras and the Ajios and whoever is there online, the kind of profile of clothes that are there, still slightly on the higher side. What do you think?
So multiple factors are going to be driving this convergence. In one of the earlier questions, we were discussing about Indian consumer, the out of textbook kind of definition. So can we say that it's an individual customer who is actually taking 100% call on buying? Yes and no. I think there is still an involvement of family, wherein, that collective decision, there is still a softer element to buying in India.
Wow.
there's this human family angle of buying in India, and so that I think is still going to play a lot of important role. Besides, we talked about weekend outing, etc. So I think these 2-3 aspects, are the ones where we believe that would e-commerce totally replace. I think the answer is no. We are eventually humans, who are going to get catered to.
You speaking about PDS Ventures, you invest in startups. When you look at founders, what are those those things, those qualities that make you say that okay, this is the future? That means something that you see that others can't see. What would it be? Maybe there's someone who's watching this and says that he wants to pitch to you. What would you be looking out for in a founder or an idea or a product?
2 things come to my mind. Number 1, differentiation. The idea that you are bringing forward, is it a breakthrough in terms of a new consumption?
Okay.
Differentiation of what is getting consumed, and second is the how part of it. Is it a new way in which the same thing that is getting consumed, but there is a very disruptive way of making it available to the end consumer? So that differentiation to me is important. Second is scalability. That if you're funding it, and then to what extent it is this scalability. I'm the entrepreneurial characteristics of passion, commitment, hard work are given.
Everybody can do that.
Yeah. So I think these 2 things, and while I said 2, there is one more aspect that has just crossed my mind. You're soliciting investment.
Correct.
That investor who's putting in money is going to have some contribution stroke say in your business. Therefore, your ability to now have somebody else as well. So that maturity, that openness, is also something that one is going to judge.
A very soft quality. It's not easy.
So, but then the scalability at times require money as well. So therefore, if there is the soft quality, then the money also comes alongside as well.
Oh, I'm saying that the reason why I'm saying that is because that a founder is passionate, driven, motivated, generally not very open to having somebody else also alongside, even if that person, that investor, is giving valuable ideas. I don't know, what's been your experience so far? I get that it's a skill. The fact that a founder can work with multiple parties, multiple stakeholders, is actually a skill. At the same time, balancing it with somebody trying to, worst case, question your vision, it's not easy, right? What do you think?
If we start looking at examples of successful companies, you would surely come across few examples of companies which are 100% owned by founders. Nobody else at any row. But Anupam, will find far greater number of companies, successful companies, wherein there are participants beyond the founder as well. So, and then somewhere when you are having a partner funding you, the maturity of that partner. If we talk of one angle of looking at it, is that okay? If I have to take money from somebody for my business, etc., then I would say that the maturity that you may look into is that, is there somebody who's going to trust your vision and support you to take it to the next level, or somebody going to challenge your vision? So these are 2 different things.
The other aspect is scale, and you mentioned that. Just talk for that for a while. What are the challenges that every founder is going to face in scale, right? Because the first idea, the first product gets off to a great start. You have a lot of success, but why is scale so important? And someone like your company that has built a platform successfully for like 30 plus years, profitable, growing really well. What would you like to tell the audience out here when it comes to scalability?
This question started from the earlier point that somebody's pitching in the business. And what are the 2 things that what is that platform wherein the pitching is happening? That platform is that there is a founder who says, I have a great idea. There are people on the other side wanting to fund the idea. Both are somewhere working towards a common motive of value creation. Business creation and then the value creation. So therefore, why I would be highly motivated and inspired to assess the scalability, because scalability would actually alongside then bring the value. It's the opportunity loss. If there's an entrepreneur who's got an idea, and if I'm somebody who's funded a lot of those ideas, I got to encourage that entrepreneur to think beyond the very obvious, and then the scalability, the challenges therefore would start coming in. My friend, you have to let it go a little bit. Letting go doesn't mean ownership here. Letting go means that you may want to man a given small geography around you, but if you are wanting to go beyond geographies, somebody else has to manage it for you in that geography. So therefore, that evolution, again, it's not about just control. That evolution of slowly letting it go B, adoption of process and technologies.
Hmm.
So I think it's a slow evolution of that, and that's where one is not going to shove everything on day one. Through experience, one will judge the openness of the individual to embrace these things.
What are the common challenges to scalability if I bring it down to specifics? Right now, one could be, say, entering a different region, a new region. One could be having a different SKU. One could be broadening your supplier base. Whatever. These are all common challenges that all founders face when they are increasing their scale. Scale could be, like I said, could be either new products, new areas, whatever it is. First idea, blockbuster success. Ho gaya, done and dusted. Now you reach steady state. Next phase of scale comes in. What are the challenges there?
Let's talk about retail sector
Okay.
in specific. Let's talk about brick and mortar retail. We talked about a different dialect and nuance every 1,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
So if you're building a retail business, let's not bombard the entire nation. Let's pick up a given cluster, and because that cluster may have its own consumption pattern. Let's build up scale in that cluster. Let's pick up cluster 2. Let's build up scale, and then after cluster 1, 2, 3, then we can actually think of a pan-India. Again, I would never say in scale, think of one pan-India angle. Think of pan-India as an aggregation of clusters. You can never lose the differentiation of catering to a given cluster. It is only your extreme backend wherein you may think of economy of scale to eventually cater to this cluster. To me, this is a very careful creation of scalability in Indian context.
Yeah, very interesting. You think that you think that Indians are now finally starting to pay? A lot of people are saying now that myth is kind of done because you've got so many people, paying for OTT, paying for content, paying for this, paying for that, for a lot of things. Do you think that that's going to probably start moving us up, even in retail, even in somewhere there?
So Indian customer still wants value for the pay. So
Okay.
therefore, I would say yes. If you are offering, earlier there was the offerer, the seller may only restrict to low value added items because they may feel they only get low price.
Correct.
But now they are venturing to offering high value items as well.
Okay,
The customer
sure.
is willing to pay,
Sure.
but the customer will only pay for the value. But both are going up together.
Okay, last two questions now, Sanjay. You have a passion for I've been told that you have a passion for cinema. I don't know whether that's is that correct?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
nice. Good to meet someone who any lesson you've learned about business or life from a movie or a movie character?
I will take the liberty of character and an actor.
Or go for it, please. Yeah.
I'll rewind this movie Laksh,
Oh.
many a times.
Nice.
And it's seen the evolution of a very lazy young man to somebody who, we all have seen what he achieves, and so I get truly inspired by that. And therefore, to me, everything is doable, and also, it's like, if I can say in Hindi, that opportunity आपको मिलती है, आपके दरवाजे पे knock भी करती है, और आपके ऊपर है कि आप how ready are you to hear the knock and how ready are to grasp it.
Nice.
So therefore, in that movie, Laksh, his opportunity also came and he grasped it. He let it go again, but then he grasped it and went to the success. So I feel very inspired by that. And then when he was very close to the success, watching his back,
Yeah.
and I think on the actor, I'm enamored by Shah Rukh Khan.
Of course. Yeah.
Because see, two things that he don't shy away from saying, I am the best.
Yeah.
But then he does it with so much humbleness, so
At the same time.
at the same time, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. What is the one thing you're most excited about for the future of Indian retail that people are not noticing or not talking about as yet?
I guess this is going to explode.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, but this is आग का दरिया है, डूब के जाना है. So there would be, aberrations, there would be setbacks from time to time, but directionally, I think we are going to explode. I think all right things are said in India. If you're building a business, add 2-3 more years to your original planning, etc.
Wow.
So, but then it is eventually going to happen. So I am a true believer, and your generation, my generation, we are fortunate to be part of this India. And so very positive, very buoyant.
If someone has to take advantage of that, like you said, opportunity knocking at the door, and someone is just hearing this and says, okay, I want to build something in retail. What do you think his priority list should be in top 3, right? Like, for example, get your brand right, understand your target right, or build your back end first, okay? Or 3, I don't know what the third could be. Focus on finances. What would your advice be to someone who's starting a retail venture today on his top 3 priorities?
If I've chosen the right segment, firstly, India is masses. So therefore, let's stay focused on value segment to answer your point.
Only that.
Yeah. So therefore, whatever I'm bringing, it should be an affordable, price point to the customer. And even if it is not a very new niche offering or something, affordable, consistent
Quality.
Yeah. And when I'm pitching it value for money, that value for money also got to be consistent as well. And retail takes a lot of time to build up.
Sure.
So therefore, hold on to your value systems.
Wow.
When you are building this journey. And thankfully for us, on the capital structure side, we have providers of capital who understand it takes a lot of time to build up. So therefore, if I'm holding on to my value, I'm consistently holding on to it. I'm holding on to my value systems. I will get capital to fund it as well.
Sure.
Again, because there is so much consumption out there, just keep your heads down and then just stay focused on execution.
Stay focused on execution, folks. On that note of a very valuable piece of advice, that is a wrap on this episode of Paisa Vaisa. My guest, Sanjay Jain, Group CEO, PDS Limited. Sanjay, thank you so much for doing this for our audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupam, for having me over. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Great to have you here. Thanks.